other human being in the world that can play Sandy other than Olivia Newton-John, you have to do it.
Thank you.
For decades, John Travolta has been one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars. From blockbuster movies to unforgettable performances, his career has kept him in the public eye for years. Recently, Travolta opened up in a rare and emotional reflection about the woman who stood beside him through so much of his life. Join us as we take a closer look at John Travolta's emotional confession and the story behind the love that defined so much of his life. Life in New Jersey. John Travolta was born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, New Jersey. He grew up in a large Italian-American family and was the youngest of 6 children. Being the youngest meant he was surrounded by older siblings who each had their own strong personalities, and the house was rarely quiet. There was always something going on. His father, Salvatore Travolta, had once been a football player, but later worked as a tire salesman to support the family. His mother, Helen Cecilia, brought a very different energy into the home. She was an actress, singer, and drama teacher, and she helped create a household where performance was part of everyday life. Because of his mother, John was exposed to theater, music, and acting from a very early age. Helen had experience in theater and radio, so she understood performance not just as entertainment, but as serious work. She believed in the arts and encouraged her children to explore their talents. That had a big effect on John. While other children might have grown up in homes centered around sports or business, John grew up in a place where creative expression was normal. Rehearsals, music, and conversations about acting were common in the Travolta household. He was not watching this world from a distance, he was living inside it. His mother's influence was especially important because she gave him both support and direction. She did not treat acting as a silly dream. She treated it as something real and worth pursuing. John saw performance up close, and that helped him become comfortable with being on stage and in front of people. He also learned about timing, expression, and confidence simply by being around that environment. Those early years helped shape the way he carried himself later as a performer. Travolta attended Dwight Morrow High School, but school was not where he felt most connected. Academically, he struggled and did not stand out in the classroom. What did stand out was his growing interest in performing. He was drawn to dance, movement, and stage presence. He liked the energy of performance and seemed to understand early on that this was where his real ability was. As a teenager, he became more serious about acting and started thinking about it as a future, not just a hobby. That decision came fast. At only 16, John Travolta dropped out of school to chase an acting career. It was a bold move, especially for someone so young, but he was already focused on what he wanted. He moved to New York City to begin pursuing stage work and auditions. Like many young actors, he started small. He took early auditions, looked for opportunities, and worked his way into theater. These first steps were not glamorous, but they were important. They gave him experience and brought him closer to the professional world he had wanted since childhood. One of the biggest early breaks in his life came when he joined a touring production of Grease. That opportunity became his first major professional step and gave him a real place in the entertainment world. It showed that the boy who grew up in a house full of music and rehearsals was now beginning to build a life of his own on stage. And this was only the beginning, because his next steps would turn that early promise into fame. Rise to fame. John Travolta's rise to fame happened quickly, but it was built step by step. After leaving school and starting out in stage work, he began looking for opportunities in television, which was one of the fastest ways for a young actor to get noticed in the 1970s. Like many newcomers, he did not become a star right away. He first appeared in small roles on shows such as Emergency and Medical Center. These parts were not huge, but they helped him get experience in front of the camera and introduced him to the world of television production. More importantly, they showed casting directors that he had a natural screen presence. His real breakthrough came in 1975 when he landed the role of Vinnie Barbarino on the sitcom Welcome Back, Kotter. The show focused on a group of wisecracking high school students, and Travolta's character quickly stood out. Vinnie Barbarino was funny, confident, and memorable. Travolta gave the character charm and energy, and audiences responded almost immediately. He was no longer just another young actor trying to find work. He had become one of the most talked about faces on television. That role changed everything. As Vinnie Barbarino, Travolta became a teen idol almost overnight. His hairstyle, clothes, and cool attitude were copied by teenagers across the country. Young fans were drawn to the mix of humor and confidence he brought to the screen. He had the kind of appeal that made people pay attention the moment he appeared. During the mid-1970s, his popularity grew at a remarkable pace. Fan magazines featured him constantly. Television viewers were excited by him, and Hollywood began to notice that he was more than just a sitcom actor. As his fame from Welcome Back, Kotter grew, film studios started to see Travolta as someone who could make the jump from television to movies. This was an important moment in his career because not every TV star was able to become a successful film actor. Travolta, however, had something extra. He could act, he could dance, and he had a strong presence that worked well on the big screen. His early film opportunities started attracting attention, and it became clear that he was being positioned as one of Hollywood's next leading men. That promise became reality with the release of Saturday Night Fever in 1977. The film changed John Travolta's life and turned him into a true movie star. He played Tony Manero, a young Brooklyn man who worked a regular job during the week but came alive on the dance floor at night. The role gave Travolta a chance to show both style and emotional depth. He was not just dancing in the movie. He was playing a character who felt trapped, ambitious, restless, and desperate for something bigger. That combination made the performance much stronger than many people expected. Saturday Night Fever arrived at exactly the right moment. Disco music and dance culture were exploding in popularity, and the film captured that world in a way audiences found exciting. Travolta's dancing became one of the movie's biggest attractions, but it was his full performance that made such a strong impression. He made Tony Manero feel real, and that helped the movie rise above being just a story about music and nightlife. The success was enormous, and Travolta received an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor at just 24 years old. That achievement confirmed that he was not simply a television heartthrob. He was now a serious star with international recognition. If Saturday Night Fever made him a major film actor, Grease in 1978 pushed him even higher. The project also had a personal connection for him because Grease had already been an important part of his early-stage career. Now he was returning to it on a much bigger stage, playing Danny Zuko in the film version. The movie was bright, energetic, and packed with songs that quickly became part of popular culture. Travolta's chemistry with Olivia Newton-John helped make the film a huge success, and audiences around the world embraced it. With Grease, Travolta reached the peak of his stardom. The movie was a global hit, and the soundtrack became just as big as the film itself. Songs from the movie were everywhere, and Travolta's image became even more firmly fixed in popular culture. Between Saturday Night Fever and Grease, he had delivered two of the most successful and recognizable films of the era. For a time, it seemed like he could do no wrong, but success at that level can be hard to maintain. In the early 1980s, signs of career instability began to appear. Travolta was still famous, but some of his film choices did not connect with audiences the way his earlier work had. Movies like Moment by Moment and later Two of a Kind failed to match the excitement of his biggest hits. The momentum that had once seemed unstoppable began to slow down. Hollywood can be quick to celebrate a star, but it can also move on quickly when box office results weaken. As the decade continued, the industry began distancing itself from the young man who had once seemed untouchable. Travolta was still well known, but the image of him as Hollywood's hottest star was starting to fade. The same fame that lifted him so quickly now made every career setback more visible. It was a difficult shift, especially for someone who had risen so high at such a young age. Still, the fall was not the end of the story, because his personal life was about to become just as important as his career. Meeting Kelly Preston. Before Kelly Preston became one of the most important people in John Travolta's life, she was already building a strong career of her own in Hollywood. During the 1980s, Preston was becoming known as a rising actress who appeared in several popular films. She had a lively personality that many people noticed right away. Friends and co-workers often described her as warm, friendly, and full of energy. These qualities helped her stand out in an industry where many young actors were trying to get noticed. Preston appeared in a number of films that helped establish her career. One of her early roles came in the 1986 science fiction movie Space Camp. The film followed a group of young trainees who accidentally get launched into space during a training mission. While the movie had a mixed response from critics, it helped introduce Preston to a wider audience. A few years later, she appeared in The Comedy Twins alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. That film was a major box office success and gave Preston even more visibility in Hollywood. By the late 1980s, she was seen as a talented actress with a bright future. It was during this period that her path crossed with John Travolta's. The two first met in 1987 while filming the comedy movie The Experts. The story of the film centered around two Americans who are tricked into running a nightclub in Eastern Europe, believing it is actually New York City. While the movie itself did not become a major hit, something much more important happened behind the scenes. Travolta and Preston met on set and quickly formed a connection. People who worked on the film later said the chemistry between them was noticeable. They enjoyed spending time together and seemed comfortable around each other. For Travolta, the meeting came during a time when his career was going through ups and downs. For Preston, it was a moment when her career was gaining attention. Their personalities worked well together, and they began developing a friendship that soon became something deeper. However, their relationship did not begin without complications. At the time she met Travolta, Kelly Preston was married to actor Kevin Gage. Because of that, their growing feelings had to remain private in the beginning. Travolta reportedly developed strong feelings for Preston fairly quickly, but the situation was not simple. Preston later spoke about this time in interviews and explained that she felt a powerful connection with Travolta almost immediately. She even said that she knew right away he was the one. Eventually, Preston's marriage came to an end, and the relationship between her and Travolta became public. Once the two were openly together, the media quickly took notice. Hollywood reporters and gossip magazines began writing about the couple, and they soon became one of the most talked-about pairs in the entertainment world. Fans were interested in the relationship because both actors were well-known and had successful careers. Before long, their connection would grow even stronger, leading to a commitment that would shape the next stage of both their lives. Marriage and family life. John Travolta and Kelly Preston took their relationship to the next level in 1991 and the way it happened added even more attention to a romance that was already widely followed. Travolta proposed to Preston in Switzerland, and the moment was described as deeply romantic. By that point, they had become one of Hollywood's most talked-about couples, so news of their engagement quickly drew public interest. Later that same year, they married in Paris in a ceremony that matched the glamorous image many people already had of them. But their wedding story did not end there. Because of legal complications connected to the first ceremony, they held a second wedding in Florida. That second ceremony made their marriage official in the United States and marked the real beginning of their life together as husband and wife. One of the things that shaped their marriage was the fact that they shared many of the same beliefs and interests. Both Travolta and Preston were members of the Church of Scientology, and their spiritual practices became an important part of their private life. They often spoke about the role their beliefs played in helping them through difficult times and in guiding how they approached family life. Whether people agreed with those beliefs or not, it was clear that this was a serious part of their world. It gave them a common foundation and became one of the things that connected them closely over the years. They also shared a lifestyle that was unusual even by Hollywood standards. One of Travolta's biggest passions outside acting was aviation. He was not just casually interested in planes. He became a licensed pilot and took flying very seriously. Over time, aviation became a major part of the family's day-to-day life. Their Florida home reflected that passion in a very visible way. The property was designed around Travolta's love of flying, and it famously included direct access for aircraft. In many accounts, the home was described as having its own private airport setup, making it unlike almost any celebrity residence. For Travolta, this was not just a luxury. It was part of how he wanted to live. For Preston and the children, it became part of the family environment. The couple's family grew with the birth of their children, and parenthood became central to their marriage. Their first child, Jett Travolta, was born in 1992. Jett's early life brought both joy and major challenges. He experienced health problems during childhood, including seizures, and his condition became a deeply personal matter for the family. Travolta and Preston were protective of him and did not always discuss his health publicly. But it was clear that caring for him required a great deal of attention and emotional energy. In 2000, their daughter, Ella Blow Travolta, was born. Her arrival brought another happy chapter to the family. Unlike Jett, Ella later grew up more visibly around Hollywood and eventually began appearing publicly with her parents. People often noticed how close the family seemed, especially at events where Travolta and Preston appeared together with their children. Ella's childhood unfolded with famous parents, but they tried to give her a stable home life despite the attention that surrounded them. Years later, after a period marked by heavy sorrow, the family welcomed their third child, Benjamin Travolta, in 2010. His birth came after a long stretch of grief and recovery for the family, which made his arrival especially meaningful. For Travolta and Preston, Benjamin represented a new beginning during a time when they were trying to rebuild emotionally. During these years of marriage and family life, Travolta's professional life also changed dramatically. In the early years of their relationship, his career had lost much of the momentum it once had. But in 1994, that changed in a major way when he took the role of Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction. The film revived his career and reminded Hollywood of his talent and screen presence. It was one of the biggest comebacks of the decade and opened the door to a new run of success. For a time, it looked like John Travolta had found both personal happiness and professional stability at once. But behind the scenes, the family would soon face heartbreak that would change everything. The death of Jett Travolta. In early 2009, John Travolta, and Kelly Preston were spending the New Year holiday with their family in the Bahamas. They were staying at the old Bahama Bay Resort, a place that was meant to offer rest and privacy away from the pressure of Hollywood. For the Travolta family, it was supposed to be a peaceful break and a chance to spend time together. Instead, the trip became the setting for one of the most painful moments of their lives. Their son, Jett Travolta, was 16 years old at the time. Over the years, Jett had faced health challenges, and his parents had often tried to protect his privacy. During the vacation, tragedy struck suddenly. Reports said that Jett suffered a seizure while in the bathroom. During the episode, he is believed to have fallen and struck his head. What began as an ordinary family holiday turned into a medical emergency within moments. The response was immediate. Jett was found, and emergency help was called right away. He was rushed for medical treatment, but despite those efforts, he could not be saved. Jett was pronounced dead at the age of 16. The news shocked not only his family, but also fans around the world who had followed John Travolta and Kelly Preston for years. The loss of a child is devastating under any circumstances, and for the Travolta family, it happened suddenly, far from home, during what was meant to be a joyful time together. Later, in 2010, the family welcomed their son, Benjamin. His birth came after a long period of grief and emotional rebuilding. Benjamin did not erase the pain of losing Jett, but his arrival gave the family a new source of joy and hope during a time when they needed it most. But even as they tried to move forward, new public controversies were just around the corner. The assault. In 2012, John Travolta found himself facing a new wave of controversy that quickly attracted widespread attention. That year, 2 male massage therapists filed civil complaints against the actor, accusing him of inappropriate behavior during massage sessions. The lawsuits were filed separately, but both contained similar claims about what had allegedly happened during private appointments. Because Travolta was a major Hollywood figure, the news spread quickly across television, newspapers, and online media. According to the complaints, the incidents were said to have taken place during massage sessions in Beverly Hills and Atlanta. The therapists claimed that Travolta behaved inappropriately during the appointments and made advances that they said crossed professional boundaries. The allegations included descriptions of unwanted contact and actions that the therapists said made them uncomfortable. These details quickly became the focus of news coverage, and the story began circulating widely in entertainment media. The accusations immediately placed Travolta under intense public scrutiny. Lawsuits involving celebrities often generate major headlines, and this situation was no different. Within hours of the news breaking, media outlets were reporting on the details of the complaints. Speculation about what might have happened spread rapidly across entertainment websites and gossip publications. Social media also played a role in spreading the story, with people sharing opinions and rumors even before the legal process had fully unfolded. Travolta's legal team responded quickly and firmly. His lawyers issued strong denials of the accusations and described the claims as completely false. They argued that the allegations had no factual basis and said they intended to fight the lawsuits. Travolta's representatives also suggested that the complaints were fabricated and pointed out what they said were inconsistencies in the claims. The legal response made it clear that Travolta and his team were not willing to accept the accusations quietly. As the legal process began moving forward, the situation changed rapidly. One of the lawsuits was voluntarily dropped by the person who filed it. Shortly afterward, the second case was also dismissed. Because of these developments, the lawsuits did not move forward to a full trial. The cases ended before the courts could examine the allegations in detail. For Travolta and his legal team, the dismissals were seen as confirmation that the accusations could not be proven. Just as that controversy began fading from the headlines, Another accusation would soon place Travolta back in the spotlight once again. The cruise ship incident. Later in 2012, John Travolta found himself involved in another controversy that attracted public attention. At the time, the actor was on vacation aboard a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. Cruise vacations are often chosen by celebrities because they offer privacy and relaxation away from the usual pressures of Hollywood. Travolta had long enjoyed traveling, and this trip was meant to be a break from work and the media spotlight. During the cruise, however, a new accusation surfaced that quickly drew attention from news outlets. A male crew member who worked on the ship claimed that Travolta had behaved inappropriately during a massage session. According to the accusation, the incident took place while the employee was providing a professional massage service to the actor. The crew member alleged that Travolta crossed professional boundaries during the appointment and made actions that he described as inappropriate. Because Travolta was already dealing with other public allegations earlier that year, the story spread quickly once it became public. Entertainment media, gossip websites, and tabloids all began reporting on the claims. The timing made the situation even more noticeable because it came shortly after the lawsuits filed by massage therapists earlier in 2012. As a result, the cruise ship accusation quickly became another topic of discussion around Travolta's personal life. Travolta's legal team responded quickly once the accusation became public. His lawyers strongly denied the claims and stated that the allegation was false. They made it clear that Travolta rejected the accusations completely. In addition to denying the story, Travolta's legal representatives also warned that legal action could be taken if the claims continued to be repeated publicly. The legal response was firm and direct, showing that the actor intended to defend himself against the allegation. In situations like this, legal disputes sometimes lead to formal lawsuits or court cases where evidence and testimony are examined. However, that did not happen in this instance. Despite the initial media attention, the cruise ship accusation did not develop into a formal lawsuit that moved forward in court. No major legal proceedings followed the initial reports. As the headlines eventually moved on from the controversy, Travolta returned to focusing on his work and family life. But the years ahead would bring an even deeper and more personal challenge, one that would affect his family in a way no public scandal ever could. The death of Kelly Preston. In July 2020, John Travolta faced one of the most painful moments of his life when his wife, Kelly Preston, passed away after a private battle with breast cancer. For many fans, the news came as a shock because very few people knew she had been seriously ill. Preston had been diagnosed with breast cancer around 2018, but she and her family chose to keep the diagnosis out of public view. Unlike many celebrities who openly share health struggles, Preston and Travolta decided to handle the situation quietly and focus on treatment and family life. During the 2 years following her diagnosis, Preston went through medical treatment while maintaining as much privacy as possible. The family kept details of her illness within a close circle of relatives and trusted friends. Because of this decision, Preston made only a few public appearances during that period. When she did appear, she looked composed and positive, and there were no clear public signs of the serious health battle she was facing behind the scenes. This careful approach allowed her to focus on treatment without the pressure of constant media attention. The news of her death became public on July 12, 2020. John Travolta confirmed the loss through a message posted on social media. In the statement, he explained that Preston had lost her 2-year battle with breast cancer. He also expressed deep gratitude toward the doctors and medical staff who had cared for her during her treatment. The message was personal and emotional, and it quickly spread across news outlets around the world. Many fans who had followed Travolta and Preston for decades were stunned by the announcement because they had not known she was ill. Kelly Preston was only 57 years old at the time of her death. She had spent nearly 3 decades married to Travolta, and the two had built a life together that included 3 children and many shared experiences. Her passing left a major emotional gap in the family. For Travolta, it was another heartbreaking loss after the death of their son Jett years earlier. Following Preston's death, Travolta stepped back from many professional commitments. Acting and public appearances became less important as he focused on supporting his children and helping the family adjust to life without Preston. He spoke openly about the importance of being present for his children during that time. Their daughter Ella and their younger son Benjamin were both still living at home, and Travolta made it clear that his priority was being there for them as they processed the loss of their mother. And even after everything he had experienced, the story of John Travolta's life was still far from finished. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about the lives behind the headlines.